Martin Heidegger's Being and Time, originally published in 1927, is considered one of the most significant works of 20th century philosophy. It is a complex and profound text that addresses the fundamental questions of existence and the meaning of being. Heidegger's objective in this work is to explore the concept of being, which he claims has been largely forgotten or misunderstood by Western philosophy since ancient times. He focuses on understanding human existence, which he terms Dasein, and examines how Dasein relates to being. Introduction to Being and Time. Being and Time begins with the assertion that the question of being has been neglected throughout the history of philosophy. Heidegger argues that since the time of the pre-Socratics, philosophers have failed to adequately investigate what it means to be. Although philosophers such as Plato, Aristotle, and Descartes discussed existence, Heidegger claims that they did so without fully grasping the deeper meaning of being itself. Heidegger opens Being and Time by stating his aim, to revive the question of being. He wants to go beyond the traditional metaphysical interpretations of existence that have dominated philosophy. To achieve this, Heidegger develops a method called phenomenological ontology, which seeks to describe the structures of being as they present themselves in human experience. Dasein is the starting point. Heidegger's analysis of being begins with an investigation into human existence, which he calls Dasein. Dasein, literally translated as being there, refers to the unique way in which humans exist in the world. Heidegger emphasizes that humans are not simply present like objects, rather, Dasein is characterized by its awareness of its own existence and its potential to shape its life. One of the key features of Dasein is its thrownness, or Geworfenheit. This term refers to the fact that humans are thrown into a world and a context not of their choosing. We do not choose where, when, or how we are born, and we must navigate this given situation. This leads to another important concept, Dasein's being in the world. For Heidegger, existence is always already situated within a particular environment and social context, and this relationship to the world is an essential aspect of human existence. Temporality and being towards death. A central theme of Being and Time is temporality, or the way in which time is central to the structure of human existence. Heidegger argues that Dasein is always oriented toward the future, and its possibilities are shaped by its awareness of time. He introduces the concept of being towards death to illustrate how human beings are always aware of their mortality, even if they do not consciously think about it. This awareness of death shapes the way we experience life, leading us to consider how we want to live and what we want to achieve. Heidegger's discussion of death is not meant to be morbid but rather to highlight the finitude of human existence. By acknowledging our mortality, we confront the reality that our time is limited, which forces us to make choices about how we will live. This confrontation with death can lead to an authentic mode of existence, in which we take responsibility for our lives and embrace our freedom to choose authenticity and inauthenticity. Another critical distinction Heidegger makes is between authentic and inauthentic modes of existence. Authenticity involves living in accordance with one's own most possibilities, being aware of one's mortality, and taking responsibility for one's choices. In contrast, inauthenticity is characterized by conforming to social norms and expectations, avoiding the existential anxiety that comes with the awareness of death, and failing to confront the reality of one's own being. Heidegger uses the term Das Man, translated as the they, to describe the way individuals often live inauthentically by conforming to the expectations of others. When we live according to the they, we allow society to dictate our choices and define what is meaningful, rather than determining our own path. Heidegger argues that living authentically requires breaking away from the influence of the they and embracing the uncertainty and freedom of individual existence. The concept of care. At the heart of Heidegger's analysis of Dasein is the concept of care, Sorge. Heidegger argues that care is the fundamental structure of human existence. By care, he does not simply mean concern for others, but rather the way in which Dasein is always involved in its own being and the world around it. Care is the existential condition that underlies all of our actions and decisions. It is through care that we engage with the world, make choices, and project ourselves into the future. For Heidegger, care is closely related to time. Dasein's existence is structured by its temporal nature, and care reflects the way we are always concerned with our future possibilities and the consequences of our actions. This focus on the future and the need to make decisions about how to live defines Dasein's existence, Being and Time. One of the most significant contributions of Being and Time is Heidegger's analysis of the relationship between being and time. He argues that traditional metaphysics has treated being as something static and timeless, but this view misses the dynamic nature of existence. Heidegger asserts that being is always understood in relation to time, and that time is not merely a sequence of moments, but an essential part of what it means to exist. Heidegger distinguishes between two kinds of time: world time, which is the everyday experience of time as a series of moments, and existential time, which is the deeper, more fundamental experience of time as it relates to Dasein's existence. Existential time is the way in which Dasein projects itself into the future, interprets the past, and experiences the present in a meaningful way. The forgetfulness of being. In Being and Time, Heidegger criticizes the history of Western philosophy for what he calls the forgetfulness of being. He argues that since the time of Plato and Aristotle, philosophers have focused on specific beings rather than on the question of being itself. This focus has led to a neglect of the more fundamental question of what it means to be. Heidegger traces this forgetfulness of being through the history of philosophy, from the ancient Greeks to Descartes and Kant. He claims that modern philosophy, particularly in its emphasis on scientific and technical knowledge, has lost sight of the deeper, more existential aspects of human existence. Heidegger's project in Being and Time is to recover the question of being and to explore it in a way that goes beyond the limitations of traditional metaphysical thinking. The unfinished project. Although Being and Time is one of Heidegger's most influential works, it is also famously unfinished. Heidegger originally planned for the book to have 2 parts, but he only completed the first part. In the second part, Heidegger intended to provide a more detailed analysis of the history of metaphysics and to further develop his ideas about time and being. However, he never completed this second part, and the project remained incomplete. Despite its unfinished nature, Being and Time has had a profound impact on philosophy, particularly in the areas of existentialism, phenomenology, and hermeneutics. Heidegger's exploration of being, time, and human existence has influenced thinkers such as Jean-Paul Sartre, Maurice Merleau-Ponty, and Jacques Derrida, as well as fields beyond philosophy, including psychology, theology, and literary theory. Being and Time remains one of the most challenging and influential philosophical works of the 20th century. Martin Heidegger's exploration of the nature of being, the temporality of human existence, and the possibility of living authentically has left a lasting mark on contemporary thought. Although the work is difficult and complex, its insights into the nature of existence and the human condition continue to resonate with readers and scholars alike. By reviving the question of being, Heidegger invites us to confront the fundamental questions of what it means to exist, to choose, and to be.